Do you ever feel kind of down and sad about being single? In this episode of Wonderful Life, I'm going to share with you some things that will help you on those days when you're feeling kind of down and discouraged. So stay tuned. I'm in a few Facebook groups with single women, and I saw a post the other day from a young lady who was saying that she's just tired of being single. She's tired of going everywhere alone. She's tired of doing everything alone. She's tired of having to explain to her family why she's still single. And I think we can all relate to how she's feeling, and that's what we're going to talk about on this episode of Wonderful Life. I'm Mary Dittman. I'm an award-winning business professor on the collegiate level and the creator of College on Fleek and One-Derful Life. Wonderful Life is my way of explaining what it feels like when you've made peace with being single. It's not about giving up and just resigning yourself, but it's also not about being happy because you're single. I know that there are plenty of women out there who say, "Oh, I'm happy to be single. I don't want a man." But I've never felt that way. I have never been married. I've always wanted to be married and have a family, but I'm well over 40 and that hasn't happened for me. And that's really been a big source of sadness for me in my life, because for me, a big part of what would define a fulfilling life includes being a wife and a mother. But I got to the point where I said, well, this singleness does not appear to be changing, so I really just want to be happy. I better figure out how to be happy for real. I was pretty good at pretending to be happy, but what we all really want is to truly just enjoy our life. And I said, I just want to be happy and have peace, even if I never have that husband and family that I desire. And that's what Wonderful Life is about. It's not about trying to make you hate men or prefer singleness. I don't prefer singleness. But it's about learning to be happy while you're single, even if you're not happy because you're single. I've really made a lot of progress in my life in terms of becoming happy with my life and having peace even though I'm single, and I really don't want to be single. And in fact, a lot of times people have the impression that I'm really happy being single and I love being single. That's not the case for me. I don't love being single. I love my life and I'm happy with my life. I would prefer that that did not include singleness. But even though I've made a lot of progress, I still have days where I feel sad about being single. For me, I live in a very small southern town where the majority of people are married and have families. Most of my friends, not all, but most of my friends have husbands and families, so they're really not available in the evening or on the weekends. My girlfriends who are in relationships are not available. My family lives on the West Coast, and so I really spend a lot of time alone. Now, I like that. I like being with myself, but I guess my point is sometimes if you live in a larger city, then there's a lot more to entertain you when you're single. I've had to really figure out how to create a life that I love and that I'm happy with being by myself a lot. And listen, I am not under the illusion that if you're married and have a family that you're just totally set and everything's great. Every situation has blessings and every situation has challenges. But I'm speaking to my single girlfriends right now, so this is to help you when you're struggling with feelings of sadness when you're single. And it's normal to be sad when something in your life isn't how you want it. Maybe you don't have a best friend, or you recently moved, or you haven't found a religious community where you fit in, or someone close to you passed away or moved away. It's normal to have feelings of sadness. I don't want to stay there. If I have one day where I feel sad about singleness, I can deal with that, but I don't want to string more than one day together. So here are some things to remember when you're feeling sad that I hope will help you. First of all, the struggle is real. It's easy to feel sometimes like I'm the only one who's single. Everybody has someone but me. And it is normal to feel that way, but every piece of data tells us that that is not the case. If you look at census data like I do, because I'm a nerd, maybe that's why I'm single. There are millions of single people in the United States. And if that was not true, why is billions of dollars raked in every year by dating companies? Even Facebook is getting into the dating game. That's a huge financial market. Why? Because there are millions and millions of single people in the United States. And it is a legit issue that the older you get, especially when you're over 40, the number of white-collar professional females outnumbers single white-collar professional males. Now, this is even accounting for people who are gay. So you take out the gay men, you take out the gay women, and you still have fewer white-collar available men than you do women. And you're going to have to factor into that most of the time men are going to date younger women. A friend of mine is married to a man who's my age, and she's at least 15 years younger than I am. A lot of times when you're in your 40s, your peers are interested in women who might be 10 to 20 years younger than you are. And the reason I'm bringing this up is not to discourage you and make you think like, wow, there's really no one out there for you. The reason I'm bringing it up is I think it helps to realize that you're not alone and that other people are in this situation as well. The good news is if you're open to what's called a mixed collar relationship, if you are okay with being with a man who makes less money than you do, or perhaps has a blue collar career, and listen, I'm not throwing shade on anybody. There are plenty of plumbers and electricians and men who own construction companies who are worth millions of dollars. Now, usually they're the owners of those companies, but in case you've never had to call a plumber, those guys make like $90 an hour. And I realize that the plumber doesn't keep that whole $90 an hour, but a lot of these guys in blue collar jobs are making pretty good money. So I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm not trying to discount anybody. You have to figure out what's right for you. For me, I want a man who is in a white collar career. I don't want someone with a job. I want a man with a stable, prosperous career. Why? I have a stable, prosperous career. And I always say, well, if I'm going to just date someone who doesn't have any money and who's really just operating on potential, I'm going to go find myself some 24-year-old good-looking stud because he really does have potential, but I'm really not interested in that. And so my point is that the older you get, you have to be very clear. If you want that white-collar man who is going to be able to provide for you, the fact is there are just fewer of those guys around. And demographically in the United States, there are more women than there are men. And historically, when you see that kind of a trend in a society, what that means is that men are usually not motivated to commit and marry. They don't have to. And especially in this day and age, where men don't have to marry you in order to sleep with you. So you just need to be aware that you're not alone in this situation, and then you can make some choices and decide what it is that you want. And furthermore, even if you do get married, there's no guarantee that you're going to be happy. When you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and you see the pictures of all these women and they're just happy with their husband and laughing and playing with their kids, I'm not saying that those moments don't occur, but I remember one of my girlfriends over the holidays, she posted a picture of her and her husband and their kids, and they were smiling. They were posing for their Christmas card photo. And I made a comment about like, wow, kind of envious. And she just laughed and said, yeah, well, that picture was being taken in the middle of me and my husband having a huge fight. We weren't even speaking to each other. But when the photographer said go, we smiled and put our arms around each other. She said, by the end of the photo shoot, we were literally not speaking to each other at all. And so we think that getting married is going to make us happy, but if that's true, why is the divorce rate so high? You really have to focus on what you have in your life and not what you lack. This is the only path to peace. So you can say, listen, I have my health, I have a good job, I have a place to live. And by the way, if those things aren't true, if you don't have your health, if you don't have a job, if you don't have a place to live, if you're financially a wreck, you really don't need to be looking for a man, because most men aren't looking for those issues to try to fix for you. So if that's the case, then you need to get your life together, get your S to G, so that you will be a blessing. And so then when he meets you, you're bringing something to the relationship. If you have a job and you really hate it, you don't switch off feelings about being miserable about work or anything else when you leave the office. If you really hate your job, you're radiating that. Not to mention, number one, you might have the opportunity to meet men in the course of your workday, but who are you going to attract when you're miserable and angry? So then focus on finding something that you would enjoy, because that's the key to being happy and peaceful in your life. When you're happy and peaceful in your life, you're more likely to meet someone. We've all known people, or at least heard the stories of women who wanted a baby, couldn't get pregnant, and probably would be very upset. And then finally they got to the point where they said, okay, you know what? We're going to adopt, and I'm just going to let this go and accept that I'm not going to be pregnant, and we're going to adopt a baby. And don't you know, before that adoption is finished, she's pregnant. Why? Because she relaxed. And it's the same with men. Ask any man you know, married or single, would he like to find a woman who's angry, miserable, bitter, complaining, doesn't have her finances together, is in a bunch of debt, is unemployed, has an undesirable living situation, and is in poor health? Ask any man you know. They're not going to tell you that those are the things that they're looking for. And this is why getting happy in your life is so critical. Now, it's not a guarantee. You know, I used to act like I was happy because I knew that men like women who are happy and upbeat, so I would act like I was happy and still not meet anyone. The difference for me today is when I started really figuring out I just want to be happy and I just want to have peace, and I really feel that way. No, I haven't met my Mr. Right. That's not the point. The point is I feel happy and I have peace and I enjoy my life. So I'm at a point now where even if that Mr. Right never comes along, it's okay. I don't prefer that. I would prefer to be in a relationship and have a family. But looking at the things that I just told you, I've had to accept that it may not happen for me. And therefore, because I don't want to settle, I might be making the choice then to stay single. Then I just want to be happy and enjoy my life. And so that's the point that you want to get to, is the point where you say, you know what, I'm just going to be happy. That's when you're more likely to attract someone. But if you never do, you're okay with it. You're not going to have a happy relationship if you're an unhappy person. And so your goal needs to be creating a life where you feel happy and peaceful. And like I said, if there are things in your life that are really bothering you and that are making it hard for you to have peace, then those are the things that you want to work on changing or work on accepting. And like I said, don't beat yourself up. If you're having a day where you're just feeling sad because you're single and you don't want to be single, it's okay. But you get to decide how long you're going to stay there. Now, if you are recovering from a broken heart, then you might want my ABCs of healing. It's free. It's just a little tutorial on what I've learned about getting over heartbreak. And I'd love to hear in the comments, what do you do when you're feeling sad about singleness? Wonderful Life is a dialogue, not a monologue, and we'd love to hear from you. So either connect with us here in the comments, or you can always reach us at wonderfullife.com. And we'll see you next time.